Hi there and welcome to Spotlight SAT Accelerated. Just want to give you a quick overview of what's in this course. The wonderful thing about it, even though it's definitely ideal to do it for the 4 weeks leading up to the test, it's something that you can pace according to your own schedule. And even after you've taken a particular test date, you can then go back to the actual lessons because this is yours for a lifetime. So let's go ahead and jump into what each of these consists of. This is just a 43-second video about me, my background as an educator, just so you get to know a little bit about me. This is all the different resources that you can print, and I encourage you to do so. So you can look through all of those and then print them and hole punch them, put them in a folder, put them in that order. I think that's very useful. And let me just walk you through each of these documents really quickly. All right, this first document is honestly one of my favorites. I'm a little bit biased because I created it myself, of course, but it's my goal tracking sheet. So notice in these 4 weeks, we have first off your practice test number 1, which I definitely encourage you to take out of Blue Book, which I'll point out in a moment. But by taking that score, you really get a baseline because it's really hard to judge how your improvement has been from any product, let alone this one, without knowing where you started out from. So what I'd recommend is doing the practice test number 1, getting a really solid baseline, and then coming up with your weekly and big picture goals, which I'll show you again how I'd recommend gauging those. And then in each of these weeks, you'll be able to record your practices. So week 1, we're going to focus on reading and writing. The second week is math. Third week, we go back to reading and writing. And then fourth week to math, so that we're doing half of the program for reading and writing, half the program for math. Here are just some program reminders that I think are really useful just to get in the habit of and to keep in the back of your mind. This next document, you'll notice, doesn't have a page number, but it was after I created all the documents and had referenced the page numbers in the videos that I said, you know what, it'd be really good to have like a table of content. So I inserted it here, and these are the 20 themes from the reading and writing section that you're tested on in College Board's new digital SAT. And then here's the 36 themes or topics within these 4 overall categories for the math section. This is the practice schedule that I recommend for the reading and writing weeks. And again, these are just things that I recommend. How you choose to use them is up to you. But obviously, if you use them as prescribed, I feel like you'll get the best chance of getting the most out of the program. So you're going to notice days 1 through 3 on a reading and writing week are going to look very, very similar. You would go through the Triple T Tom's Testing Tip pages for that particular week. So I'll point that out in a moment. And then you want to go through the Quizlet flashcards. I'll also point that out. And then you would do your assignment. All of these things I'm going to point out in more detail, but for now, just to give you kind of an idea. And then you want to definitely look over your answers, get to understand why you got the ones wrong that you got wrong and what the correct answer is and why, and learn from those mistakes. And then day 4, you're going to find is kind of a miscellaneous day where you go through the Test Stress Success Manual PDF book for about 5 minutes. And I'll show you how I recommend going through it and then doing your reflections on the goal tracking sheet here, looking at some of the types of mistakes that you made, really dialing in on one in particular is the best way to really learn something in particular from that week. And then the lesson that you learned, and we'll look at what this program of the week is all about. On a math week, so notice this is page 5, it looks a little bit simpler. Days 1 through 3, you just do the math assignment. Then when you check your answers, I'm going to show you how I have the worked out solution videos for every single problem. And it's really important with math to not just watch the video or look at the explanation, but then to redo the question, because math is something that needs to be done, not just watched. And then similarly on day 4, you have a lot of miscellaneous things, in particular going through the calculator sheet just to make sure you feel really comfortable on the programs that I've given you access to. Because if you just have them on your calculator but don't know how and when to use them, they're a bit limited in that regard. Going through the Test Stress Success Manual and then doing your reflections. And then here is the Triple T reading and writing document, in particular the pages that correspond to the themes that are in this program. Then you'll notice the Triple T math document is just 1 page because it really just has those 4 steps to approaching every math question. That being said, because the math section contains such a broad range of topics, in addition, I also have my math reference document, and that is 5 sides long or 5 pages long to cover a little bit of each of the topics that are within these different modules. And you'll see me reference it quite a bit. This is the Graphing Calculator Programs document, and let's go ahead and look at how we're going to utilize this early on in the program. So let's take a look at the Quizlet. So those flashcards are going to be really useful. And you noticed it was in the practice schedule for the reading and writing weeks. So in the week 1, you would go to these flashcards. And I recommend definitely using them in the flashcard format, at least for the first day or two. And then by the time you get to day 3, then you could do something like the Learn feature, which I feel is really beneficial, but not until you at least have a foundation in the different terms that you're being tested on. So going through these is going to be really helpful to be able to recognize what the stem of the question is referring to, which particular theme, and how to approach it. And then you'll notice that we also have a set for week 3, which includes all the flashcards from week 1 and then adds more from week 3 so that it's cumulative in nature. Then we have the Test Stress Success Manual PDF book. So let's take a peek at that. I would definitely recommend downloading it to your computer, which you could just press the download key. I would just save it to my desktop, and then you have it right there ready to go. And it's not the kind of book that you read from cover to cover, but rather, let's say you go to the table of contents and then you're setting your timer for that 5 minutes that we have on your practice schedule. You pick whatever stands out to you. For example, let's say, what is the zone? Seems like it piques my interest. Well, page 25 is where it starts. So I'm going to go up here, type in 25, and then notice it's simply 1, and there's a picture on the next page, 2. It really is just like I think it was just actually that one page, to be honest. So these are very, very quick and to the point. Usually they're about 3 or 4 pages long, but definitely nothing that you can't read within 5 minutes, and try to think of a good takeaway to incorporate on test day. All right, now these are just a few videos that are good to understand about some of the changes to SAT. This is a short 4 minutes long about the top 10 changes in general, then the changes to the reading and writing, the changes to the math section, and then these are my mind mastery strategies of the week. I've given you access to 4 of them, and it's all about the mental side of test taking. So each of these is about 1 to 2 minutes long, but really good takeaways. I'd recommend watching one each week. So here's the prerequisite assignment, which I already mentioned. It's not something you have to do, but I just think it's a good idea to get a baseline of where you're at before you start the program. So I show in this 1.5 minute video how to download Blue Book, and then from there you could just jump into that practice test. Now it does take 2 hours and 14 minutes plus the 10-minute break, so it's pretty long. So you'd want to do it on a non-school day. You definitely want to do it in one sitting, and ideally first thing in the morning after having breakfast, to really simulate the testing conditions. Now on the second day, here are some miscellaneous things that I'd recommend you do. So that includes going through your goal tracking sheet, and in this video I explain how I would take your performance on the first practice test and then come up with your weekly goals and big picture goals. And I give you the link to access your practice test 1 results in case you misplace it. I also give you a link to the conversion website that I referenced in that video. But I think it's just a good idea to be able to track your goals. Again, not something that's a required thing by any means, but just really a good thing to track your progress and record the data. The second thing is to transfer the 23 programs that you have access to. So in the video, I walk you through exactly how to do so, and I give you the links that you need. And then this third part is to understand exactly how to use these programs. So that's a 25-minute video. I go really in depth into all the different functions. So it's really 39 minutes. So I'll update that. So it's less than 40 minutes really to go through all those different things on day 2. And then now we're at the meat of the program, which is the actual instruction and then the assignments that correspond to each of these weeks. So for example, in week 1, we're going to go over these 4 themes. And when you go through it, I would recommend you watch the video. And as you're watching it, as soon as you see the sample question, pause the screen and then see if you can actually attempt the question yourself. And then as I walk through the steps, see if you incorporated those strategies. What you'll find is for the reading and writing, I chose to use questions that are at the easy level because there's easy, medium, and hard. For math, I chose to do medium. The rationale is for reading and writing, because it's so strategy driven, I felt like it was really important to get a foundation on how to incorporate the strategies before getting to more difficult questions. And so you want to attempt them on each one, pausing the screen and then going through it. And then you would go through those 4 themes, and you'll see that for each of those, I have the specific portion of the Triple T document within the files section, but you would have already printed the entire document as well. So once you've gone through that on a particular day, so let's say that's day 1 of that week, then you'd be able to go through the assignment. Now, the login credentials to this would have gone out to you just recently before you saw this video. And you'll find that the email, which is the username, is going to be the exact one that you use to sign up for this course. And your password is going to be listed in that email, but it's Zara Tutoring 33, all lowercase, all one word. And once you log in, you'll just see Spotlight SAT Accelerated, and then you have the assignment for each of those weeks. Let me just show you for week 1, and then this is going to apply for all the other ones. But notice you have the 3 days of assignments, and that's That's the same for week 2, same for week 3, and same for week 4. Now, something that you probably did notice that I mentioned is when we talk about reviewing the Triple T documents, I specify which pages of the Triple T document you have for the reading and writing weeks so that you know exactly which ones we're referring to and which themes we're covering. But once you complete a particular day's practice, which you're going to find that it's very, very similar to the Blue Book platform, and that's by design to make it so that you're so comfortable and would have taken a dozen, literally, because 3 on each of these weeks and 4 weeks, so 12 of these practices before taking the actual test. But you want to use the data to your advantage. So let me show you what I mean. Once you've completed a practice, you can go to review, and then you're going to see how many you got correct versus incorrect. You can go to the answers, see the incorrect ones, so that you can go through the explanation of why it is what it is versus why it's not what you put. You'll see the level of difficulty for each question. There's easy, medium, and hard. And you can look at the time analytics, which can be definitely helpful. The subject-wise analytics is really key. So let's go and click here, and then notice you could see for that particular day, command of quantitative evidence, out of the 5 questions, I got 4 correct. So I'm pretty solid there. Inferences, even better. I got 6 out of 6. But let's say command of textual evidence, I only got 1 correct out of those 6 questions. So that definitely means I need to improve on command of textual evidence. So I go back to the course, more specifically to, in this case, command of textual evidence, maybe rewatch that video, try to refresh on the process that I recommend of how to approach those questions. And then we could actually go back to the questions, and for the ones that I got incorrect, I could go Control F and put command of textual evidence, and then find those, in this case, 5 questions. And then I could redo the question with those steps in mind, seeing if now I can incorporate them. So I could go to each of those 5 and redo them. And I think that's a really good approach for making improvements in any particular area that you're still struggling in. And then what you'll notice is for each assignment, I have the Graphing Calculator program of the week. You could just click Start Assignment, and then you would just type it in right over here. And it's just determining what you think you could use as far as one of our programs go on this particular question. You don't have to actually solve it. It's just about getting used to seeing a question and being able to quickly determine a particular program. So I have that for each of the 4 weeks. Week 2 is all about algebra. So we have all the different lessons for algebra, which you would go through on a particular day. Then for the next few days, you'd go through the week 2 assignment as listed here. And then same idea, Graphing Calculator program of the week. And then you have the week 3 instruction going back to reading and writing, the week 3 assignment, and the Graphing Calculator program of the week. And then finally the week 4 content here, which is quite a bit of material that you'd want to go through on that particular day, and then go through the practice for those next few days. And then again, checking out that Graphing Calculator program of the week. Now, what you will find is once you actually do submit that program of the week, I'll say what the correct answer was afterwards so that you get to know what it is. Now, something that is unique to the math weeks is for every one that you've gotten wrong, really for every single math question, I go through and notice in the explanation, I have a hyperlink, again, that's just for the math, where you could go and check out my worked out solution video. And the reason that's really helpful is because I also reference which graphing calculator program, if any, you could have utilized to solve the question. And that's everything. So I hope you really enjoy this course. I put a lot of work into it, and I try to think of every possible scenario of how I could be of assistance through this course. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I look forward to hearing how it goes. And remember, you got this.